Hello there, and thank you for clicking on my video. This was a requested video doing a very beginner-friendly set of builds. Literally first week of Warframe, MR0 to say MR6. So I'm going to be going over a brand new Tenno's first Warframe, first primary, secondary, melee, and I will be including the Taxon Sentinel and the Artax. Very beginner friendly, focused around free to play, what you'll be able to mod with the capacity that you will have. I won't go into too much detail just in order to keep the builds nice and cheap, and keep the interactions to a minimum. I'll cover them how to build, I guess, in like a different video or something. But just to put out a quick video of, hey, this is what you need to do, this is what you're going to be doing, the upgrade order and whatnot. Alright, so let's go over the Warframe build. Okay, so your very first build. You're going to do the Awakening quest when you first get into Warframe. It's literally a how-to, how to move, the basics. And then your first main quest is going to be Vor's Prize. And hopefully you kill him. But this is how you would start modding. The four mods that I would suggest, and this one also. Sorry, 5 mods I would suggest every new Warframe player have on their frame when they first start. Everything else is sort of quality of life, but this is strictly survivability. This will help you stop dying so much, even though it is a little hard to die at the beginning, but you do have the ability to, and this will make you as more or less bulletproof as potentially possible. So the issue that you're going to have is upgrading these mods, and I will go into how to do that briefly. You are going to be getting the flawed mods during Vor's Quest. I have one here. This is a flawed equilibrium. It's got 5 ranks. This is a mod called Fast Deflection. You get this very early in the game. You will have a flawed redirection and a flawed vitality. I don't have those anymore. But with these 5 mods, you'll have more shield, you'll have more armor, more health, all the good stuff. Those are your 3 main defensive stats. Health and armor interact together, but the big deal is that shield regenerates. So with this, we'll put these 2 over here, and put these because they interact together. With modding, all you have to do, if this is your very first time, is literally just click on a mod that's not an aura mod, so say something like this, and just drop it anywhere on your frame in any of these mod slots. This top slot up here is an aura mod. You will most likely not get these at the very beginning, but one of the first aura mods you will get that is droppable is Physique. As you're playing the game, if you pick your base frame, your choices are Excalibur, Volt, and Mag. Most of them come, I picked Excalibur, so from experience I can say Excalibur. There is no preference for what type of aura mod you need to have at the beginning. It's literally the first one you pick up. Because the big deal about aura mods is if you look at this thing called capacity up here, the 60 here is how much what Warframe calls drain can be put on a weapon, or on a frame or a weapon. Capacity is used on frames and weapons and sentinels. But this is how much drain, how much capacity you have for modding stuff. So right now, my capacity on this frame is 60, and I'm at 36 available right now, so I've used 24. Now watch what happens when I slot an aura mod. It goes from 60 to 74, and even if you are at level 1 or MR0 and you slot an aura mod, you will gain, if the polarity matches, see how this turned green, you will gain 14 capacity, even at level 1. So if you're MR2 or MR3 and you're starting to get the capacity bonuses, regardless of what it is, just throw an aura mod in. Even if it doesn't match and this number shows up red like this, it's still going to add capacity to your frame. So regardless of what it is, if you have an aura mod and you only have one, well, you're putting that on every frame because it's only going to help you. But fiber and health boost each other. More health, higher armor, gives you more damage reduction, but the damage reduction is damage done to health. Shields are not affected by armor, the tooltip tells us here. So these two interact with each other. And shield, which is right here, recharges very, very fast. But it takes, because it doesn't have armor, it takes more damage. So how we're going to counter that is, as you're running from enemy group to enemy group, you're going to make sure to slot this on when you get it, because this is an early game mod that you get. When you pick this up, you're going to put shield recharge on, and you're going to use the shield capacity that you've modded for. And this is going to be, you're going to, hold on, let me finish. You're going to use the shield recharge to help keep you alive in the early levels. So when enemies start getting a little bit tankier, they're not incredibly difficult, but if you're not building right, the damage might not be there. So your first build is going to look something like this, your very first build. And what you're going to do is, as you slowly rank up Excalibur or Volt or Mag, you're going to add ranks to your shield mod. And then once you get it to about 4, you're going to start modding the rest of them as your capacity goes up. So you're going to start out like this. And as your capacity goes up, as you play more missions, you will start adding the other mods. So then you have Vitality. Let's put that back on. Vitality. Armor. Oh, hold on. This one, shield deflection. And a very important one is equilibrium. So these two interact, these two interact. Why do we have equilibrium here? Because as you're running around missions and you're killing enemies, you're going to occasionally see a red orb and a blue orb drop. Red is health, blue is energy. The ability that allows you to cast, the resource that you use to cast abilities. When you pick up a health orb, this will give you energy, and vice versa. When you pick up energy, this will give you health. So this is the minimalist minimum spec build you can do at MR0 to MR3. And by MR3, you should have most of these. You might not have fast deflection yet. But these other ones, the flawed versions, are almost guaranteed drops. And the difference between the regular equilibrium and the flawed one, even though it doesn't say it, is the flawed equilibrium only has 5 ranks. So this might be your first build, and when you get shield or fast deflection, add that in as well. So there you go for the frame. This will keep you alive fairly well. You're going to rank up redirection to 4, and then slowly rank up the rest. As cheap as possible, you're going to rank them up slowly, one at a time. Even if you're ranking up flawed mods, there's only 3 ranks. They're incredibly cheap, and they're incredibly efficient. in terms of how much endo you put into them. So don't worry about the additional cost. There's nothing unoptimal about it. That's really that much of a bother. Now for the additional mods as you pick them up, the first mod I would recommend that you add on is Thief's Wit. Hold on, it'd be this one. Thief's Wit. This is going to help you see items on the minimap that are on the ground. Just rank it up to 3. If you pick up regular Thief's Wit, it's up to you whether you want to mod it. There are other mods in the game that will replace this, but I would say upgrade Thief's Wit to 3, and then rank this up to 3, and then continue upgrading these. As soon as you pick up a regular redirection, a regular vitality, a regular steel fiber, swap them out for the flawed. So if you rank up a flawed redirection or a flawed vitality, and then you see a regular redirection and a regular vitality, just take the flawed off and put the regular ones on. Same with steel fiber. So there you go, Baby Tenno's first build, these 5 mods. This will get you off of Earth onto Venus. Alright, primaries. Alright, so your first build is going to look something like this. So let's talk about your major damage bonuses that you will have access to very early in the game. Serration, you're going to get a flawed one of these. It's one of the mods I don't have anymore, but it's this mod with a crack on it. You're going to slot this, and even at higher levels, like the content that I do on like the 2nd star chart and whatnot, a mod that boosts your damage, you are still going to be equip it, but we have something different. But your mod is going to be Serration. You're going to mod Serration, then the next mod you're going to do is a fire rate mod. As soon as you pick one up, throw it on. And then the next mod after that you're going to do is a critical chance mod when you pick it up. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and these are going to be your main multipliers to your damage. The more base damage you have, the faster you shoot it, and the chance to deal double damage. As they climb, you will notice your damage goes up. Now, here's one of the things that's just going to take a bit of time for you to get, and there's only really 2 variations. Hellfire, you get somewhat early. You should probably have one by the time you finish Venus. Okay? So, if you only have Hellfire, the heat mod, and you do not have the electricity and the toxin mod, just mod the heat like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But on the condition that you have an electricity mod and a toxin mod, it will make an element, because in this game elements combine. Electricity and toxin combine to make an element called corrosive, and this is very, very good against armored targets. So having these on your weapon will make you do more damage to enemies with armor. Now if you have all 3, for the time being, you're going to mod like this. Damage, fire rate, crit chance, with an element of electricity, an element of toxin, and an element of heat. For ease of use, in the top right, do electricity and toxin, and then on the bottom row, put heat. But this is going to be Baby Tenno's first build. Now, what do you upgrade first? You start with Serration, and the same thing as before, you're going to get a couple ranks, and you're going to put in about 4. Okay? You're going to put in 4. And then you're going to start upgrading Speed Trigger, get it to about 2 or 3, and then after that, as everything starts getting leveled up, you're going to increase your point strike when you pick one up, to about critical chance of plus 100%. That's 4 ranks. And then after that, you're going to start upgrading Toxin, and you're going to do 1 and 1. You're going to upgrade these the same. Do 1 and 1, and then 2 and 2, then rank 3 and 3, until you get to about rank 3. And then you're going to start upgrading Heat. Same thing, 1, 2, 3 as you start upgrading. And try not to spend more than 1 or 2. Obviously, the first couple of ranks are super cheap. So if you feel comfortable, if you have a Serration and you feel comfortable because you picked up, say, 100 Endo, and you want to put all 3 ranks on this immediately, go ahead. It's not a big deal. It's going to help you do as much damage as you can for now. But this is probably the main build. If you find that you level, because right now, if you get to rank 30 on your weapon, like this one is now, and you have capacity, because a lot of these polarities don't line up. So let's find some capacity really quick. Okay. So I'm at 38. Say you have some capacity. One of the things I would recommend is adding a mod called an ammo drum. If you have a little bit of space and you're willing to run with a little bit of less ammo, run an ammo drum and put 3 ranks in this. Reason being is early game, even though the enemies are weak, if the mission lasts too long, you are in danger of running out of ammo, and you cannot kill the enemy if you don't have ammo with your primary. You'll have to swap to melee, but this is an excellent option for utility mod. 3 ranks in it, costs next to nothing. 1, 2, 3. I think it's like 140 endo or something like that. But okay, good enough. We have our core mods here: damage, fire rate, crit chance, corrosive, and if you need capacity, take off Hellfire, your heat mod, and put on ammo drum and just run straight corrosive. This is a solid build for somebody in their first week. And just start upgrading Serration, speed trigger, get point strike to 100, and then start upgrading these evenly. So 4, 2 or 3, like rank 4, rank 2 or 3, rank 4, and then do 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3 on these, and put like 2 or 3 ranks in ammo drum. It's great utility, and this will be a very, very capacity friendly build. Okay, let's go on to the secondary. Same thing, but with this, some mods are going to be rarer to drop. Not on this, but the same thing. So before on the primary, we did damage, fire rate, crit chance, elements, and magazine. On you're gonna have to find this. It drops incredibly. It drops often, but it still might take a couple of missions for you to get this. So, the base multipliers for increasing your damage are base damage, fire rate, crit chance, and crit damage. And you do have the chance of getting all of these mods very early, like within your first week. But Target Cracker might take a little bit. Like say by like the 3rd or 4th planet, you should probably have this. Pistol Gambit drops a lot. Gunslinger might take a bit, and Hornet Strike can potentially take a bit as well. So what do you do until then? But this is going to be your main 4. Damage, fire rate, crit chance, crit damage. The same thing as before, you're going to use base damage from element mods, and as these drop, because it's all loot tables, if you only have an electricity mod, slot the electricity mod. If you only have cold, slot cold. If you only have heat, slot heat. and get your base damage this way. What's the other one? Toxin. So if you have something like this, this is fine for your first build. As these start to drop, this will increase your base damage also. Or your raw damage. So whatever combination you have, but the combination that you're looking for is again corrosive, which is a toxin element and an electric element. So as soon as you get those for your pistols, just throw it on the weapon and go to town. So same thing with base damage, fire rate, crit chance, crit damage, corrosive, which is toxin and electricity, and an ammo max, trick mag. For the pistol is called trick mag, which gives you maximum ammo until you start getting better mods. So for this, just slowly start upgrading, but you want to do Hornet Strike first, and then Gunslinger. Do 4 ranks in Hornet Strike, 2 or 3 ranks in Gunslinger. I wouldn't worry about these off the bat because the starting weapon, the Mark 1 Kunai, has very low crit. I would say jump over to your elements. So just work across the top. Base damage, fire rate, and whatever element you have, start upgrading it. And just try to keep them below Hornet Strike level 4. Then do like level 3 on Gunslinger, and then do like 2 and 2. Because capacity is going to be an issue. So this is my best suggestion on how to make this work. And for this weapon even, because this is it doesn't have a catalyst in it, which gives me added capacity. If you see, it's 30. I would say just go straight damage, fire rate, and then put a couple of ranks into these, and maybe go to rank 3 on Trick Mag. And it's just going to be raw damage. You'll get as much done as you can. But this would be like a baby Tenno's first week build. And it's going to help you a lot clearing your star chart out. So Hornet Strike to 4, Gunslinger to 3, and do like 2 and 2. And that'll be pretty solid for your very first build. Okay, let's do melee. There's 2 options for melee, if I remember correctly. The Skana and the Mark 1 bow. There's a Mark 1 Furax also. I can't remember if it's offered during the Awakening also. But you have the melee. I have a different version of the Skana. But this is going to be your first build also. Hold on. Okay. So your 5 core mods, your 5 core effects that you want on melee is, again, like with the primary, base damage, where on like weapons, like pistols and like primaries and secondaries, you would have fire rate. On melees, you have attack speed, so this is the same effect. Crit chance, crit damage, but with the melee, these are flawed mods, and you're probably going to get them very quickly. And then the other one that you're going to get very, very quickly as well is reach. So it's going to be the same thing. Pressure point to 3, Fury to 2, Organ Shatter flawed to 3, True Steel to 3, and Reach to 3. But if you find yourself needing capacity, feel free to get rid of the range and just run with this. So this would be the recommended build. Very, very straightforward. Base damage, fire rate, crit chance, crit damage. To give you the best raw damage you can against the content that you're doing. Now, if you find that you have a little bit of capacity left over, corrosive again, electricity and toxin. It's the best for early game, and put like a rank in each. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Because for a lot of the stances, this up here, where warframes have stances, melees, or where warframes have auras, melees have stances that do essentially the same thing in terms of capacity. If you look, it is a V polarity. If I take this and slot it here, it turned green and gave me 10. And if you notice, I went from 60 to 70. I take it off. I go back down to 60. I go put it back in. It goes up to 70. These, when you pick these up, you're probably going to get this one first, which is the Iron Phoenix stance. It's very nice. It's a good stance. Even if it doesn't match, you're just going to slot it for now. Reason being is, even though this stance doesn't match the polarity, I'm still gaining 4 capacity. See how when there wasn't a stance it was 60? It'll probably be 40 or 30 for you. With a catalyst in, which this one does, it's 60. With the stance, it brings me up an additional 4, this 4, to 64. If I do a stance that matches, you see it goes to 70. So even if it doesn't match, I still receive a benefit. So whatever stance you get for the sword, just slot it in, and you're probably going to get this one first. If you picked the Mark 1 bow, the stance for that will drop way sooner. But I don't think it matches the polarity, though. But you will get a stance for the Mark 1 bow way sooner. But there you go. This is your first melee build. Base damage, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage, with elements. And just as an alternative, say you don't have any of these and you only have space for one, but you have heat. Heat is the best single element that you can equip and add on to a weapon. See how corrosive went down to 0 because I took the mods off? But now all of a sudden it went from dash, as in nothing, to green. That's a 30.6 that's green. Heat is the best single element that you can add to a weapon. Though there are times where you wouldn't want to add an element. But in terms of the best single element you can add, heat is where it's at. For almost everything. But for you right now, heat might be the best option, especially if you have this mod and you're tight on capacity. Because if you look, I'm only using 22. So that's plenty of room to upgrade. Get 2 or 3 ranks on here, 2 or 3 ranks here. So say like 3, 2, that would be 5. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. And that would bring me to 8, and that would give me 30 capacity on a max rank 30 Skana. So you would start here and equip going across as you're ranking up. So you would start with pressure point, then you would go to fury, then you would go to crit chance, then you would go to crit damage. And once you rank all the way up to 30, you would then slot heat. So that's my recommendation for starting out building. Always put on base damage first. Alright, let's go. And the Exalted Blade's the same thing. Just going to base damage, attack speed, a little bit of range, crit chance, crit damage. I was just showing what a more corrosive heavy build is, where you start leaning into it a little bit. And then you end up with an open slot, and I equipped a status chance mod here. But this would be a solid baby Tenno's first build also. Alright, let's go on to the Taxon. This is going to be super simple as well. As you pick these mods up, the mods on the bottom, Assault Mode and Molecular Conversion, come with the Taxon. You're not going to have to farm these, so you're going to slot them. Make sure the polarity matches, see how it's green. And as you slowly level up the weapon, when Vacuum drops, you need to keep an eye out for this mod. When you get this mod, you need to slot it, even if it means taking Assault Mode off. To get this on here, even if it means everything else is on, or off, Vacuum and Molecular Conversion add so much value to your Sentinel. It is worth running these on their own if you are less than rank 8 with this. And for, say, like, way lower before you start gaining capacity, say you're like MR2 or MR3, just take everything off and put Vacuum on. And just let the Sentinel run naked like this. And as things get ranked up, or as this ranks up, you will then gain capacity. Molecular Conversion goes on. Shield goes on next. Health goes on after that. Armor goes on after that. And then if you have any capacity left over, you shove on Assault Mode. Okay. So this is the order: Vacuum, Molecular Conversion, Shields would be a good 3 mods to start out with. And then you start beefing up the Sentinel to keep it from dying. And the order that you would upgrade these in is Vacuum first. You need this upgraded, because it makes the gameplay experience so much better as you're running around breaking boxes, as you're running around killing enemies. They're going to be dropping loot. And up until now, unless you walked over the resources or like the ammo that they dropped, you haven't been getting it. So you've just been going through missions. If you haven't been purposefully going out of your way to pick stuff up, you have been missing out on stuff that you should have gotten. Vacuum will fix a lot of this. So instead of having to walk over something that's almost near you, if you use Vacuum, all of a sudden you only have to be about 11.5 meters from whatever it is, and the Sentinel itself will suck it into you. Alright, Sentinel Weapon. Pretty simple. Serration, speed trigger, or whatever fire rate mod you end up having, and ideally Hush. You will pick this up eventually. So your first build is literally just going to be this. And if you end up with some extra capacity, again, like always, just throw some corrosive on it. So for now, this is going to be your best option. But another good option is a max Hush. 3 ranks, that's all it is, that's all it ever is. Because what this will do is it will prevent your Sentinel from drawing aggro, or gaining the attention of the enemies, and enemies turning around and firing at your Sentinel. This will prevent that. The Sentinel still might die due to like AoEs and whatnot, but this will, at a minimum, keep the Sentinel from drawing attention to itself, and enemies will instead fire at you or a teammate or whatever the hell they're firing at. But this will make it survive at lower levels the best possible. So just same thing, you pick whatever your serration is. This weapon shares the same reward pool as your primary, so you will be able to use the same serration mod that you have on your other one. So don't worry about like an upgrade order. It's literally the same as the other one. So as you rank up your serration and your speed trigger, you will also be upgrading this if they share the exact same mods. So there you go. Literally a Tenno 101 first week for the Warframe, the primary, the secondary, the melee. And this applies to any of the weapons that you have. And the Sentinel, which you will get very early on. This is everybody's first Sentinel. Unless they bought like a pack or had a pack gifted to them. But this is your very first Sentinel. And this is your very first Sentinel weapon. So this is the builds for all of them. I hope this helps. I know this was a little longer than I planned. Just due to explaining what the stuff does. This is the third time I've recorded this, and it's all about the same length. And I cut a bunch of stuff out. So I hope this helps, my dude. If anybody else has any questions about anything regarding the game, I'll make a video about it. If you just want to know like how an interaction works, I can do a video on that too. I've done them before, I'll do it again. But anyway, y'all have a blessed day. Thank you for checking out my video. Take it easy.